because man's task is to make the earth after the model of heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Man's project is to heavenize the earth. Man is made to transform the world from glory to glory, to take hold of it and break it down and remake it after the image of heaven.
Welcome back to the Reformed Reset. My name is Grant, and joined with me is my beautiful wife, Erica, the weaker vessel.
Hello, everyone.
Guys, if you would please subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, go down in the description below, and look at all of the links to our social media, our website. You can send us an email, takeholdstudios@gmail.com. We have a Patreon, a store, and all kinds of stuff. And you know what? Stick around on the YouTube channel for a little bit. See, the other podcasts we've put out, the other episodes, some of the interviews, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, some of the series that we have done in the past are put together just for you.
Conveniently.
In a playlist. So go check out our playlists. We got all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah.
But anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody.
'Tis the season.
I think this is going to go out a few days before Christmas.
Yep.
And this episode is going to be all about Christmas.
It's about Christmas.
Right?
That's right.
All right, babe.
Can't escape a Christmas episode.
We've done Christmas series in the past, too.
Yeah.
Those might be playlists. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But anyway.
Okay, so I don't think you really know exactly what we're talking about, do you?
I don't. You guys listen. So a lot of you have checked out the Rich Lusk interview that we were able to finally put out. That should have been out even earlier. There's going to be more of those coming because my conversation with him was great and it went a lot longer than we initially planned. So he said, hey, just have me back on. So anyway, we're going to do that. But the last couple weeks have been crazy. Maine had a crazy winter storm. And
it wasn't even a winter storm. That would have been awesome if
what
we
else
had
do
snow.
they call it? I don't even know.
It was a windstorm, kind of.
It rained a little.
We had like almost 70-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
There were trees down on power lines and
dozens.
It was just crazy. We had family in town. We were trying to get him to the airport the next day, and we were dodging power lines. And it's just been nuts. We were out of power for like 3 days.
Yeah.
It's been an adventure, y'all.
I think over 400,000 people lost power in the state
I
of
realize
Maine.
that we make a lot of excuses as to why we are inconsistent on this podcast, and I've realized that about us. But truthfully, I don't think that they're really like invalid excuses. I really do feel like, what did I tell you the other day? Like our life is just a series of like Jumanji challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, there's a rhino. There's a rhino in the kitchen.
That
Didn't
hasn't
see that
happened
coming.
yet, but there has been a tree in our kitchen, so
That's true. That did happen.
there's that.
Listen, God just
And a chicken coop in the neighbor's lawn. Our chicken coop in the neighbor's lawn.
So the damage we had from this storm was our metal shed that we made a chicken coop literally blew over into. It did a flip. You could tell by how it fell and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that thing
All is well that ends well. So.
Yeah, the chickens are fine. It was funny. Everyone I told.
And the pig's fine too.
Yeah. Everyone I told, that was the first thing they asked. Mm-hmm. How are the chickens?
The chickens and the pig
fine.
have really become like our mascots on this channel. So
That's right.
It's really important you guys know they're fine. Okay, so.
All right, so Christmas. A few
Christmas.
days away. We're going to put this out right away.
Yep.
What are we talking about, hon?
We are talking about nostalgia.
Ooh.
Christmas nostalgia in particular.
Okay. All right.
And why it's really important. And like, especially as parents. So,
All right.
for those of you who grew up in the 90s, or were just alive in the 90s,
Okay.
you know Amy Grant. Okay?
Everybody knows who
Everyone
Amy Grant
knows
is.
Amy Grant. If you were a Christian kid in the 90s, you know who Amy Grant is.
Who wouldn't know who Amy Grant is?
People who don't matter.
Oh, all right.
Just kidding.
We're getting savage.
I'm just teasing, guys. Okay. So my mother played Amy Grant's Christmas album on repeat
Yeah.
my whole childhood. Like every Christmas, it was Amy Grant, and I think Carson. Is it Carson? Is that his name?
Carmen.
Carmen. That's his name.
Yeah.
Carmen was another one that we listened to a lot. Anyway, I
That
don't
was
really
a
care for
character.
him, but that's besides the point.
That's right.
He that's a whole nother
Not
conversation. I
all
can't get into that.
traditions need
Okay.
to be continued.
But Amy Grant, especially her
Yeah.
Christmas album,
Right.
I play every year for our kids as
right.
well.
Our kids will have the same story as you.
Yes. I've told them that since they were little. Like, I
Yeah.
want you to have the same type of nostalgia that I have when an Amy Grant Christmas song comes on. Because every year without fail, like, I will text someone in my family and say, like, is it really Christmas until you hear Amy Grant over, like, the loudspeaker at a store or on the radio or something? Like, that's just how it is for me. I don't listen to Amy Grant any other time of the year, but at Christmas, I play her album. That's Christmas,
Yeah.
you know?
And you guys, all three of our kids, absolutely love this album.
They love it too.
They will put it on. They will ask if they can put it on.
There's one song in particular. We should play it. We'll clip it right here.
Smell of evergreen, as special as it's always been. And I have a dream or two, and maybe they will come true. Setting our hopes on a big slow tonight, we'll wake up to a world of white, and it's gonna be a Christmas to remember. Light up the fireplace with Nat King Cole, always sentimental, and don't you know that it's gonna be a Christmas to remember. I know it's true.
Okay.
And then now, yay! So there's the song, Amy Grant.
Okay. So I was baking a whole bunch of stuff with the kids in the kitchen today. We played this song like 8 times in a row, over and over and over again, because the kids were just like blaring
Yeah.
their little voices, singing along to like, it's going to be a Christmas to remember, right? And what I was thinking about the song and how nostalgic it is for me, and everyone has a different song, I'm sure. Whatever it is for, your
Yeah.
particular upbringing or your family, like this just happens to be what it is for our family.
Yeah.
But like how really important it is, and even in the song it talks about like, we're gonna be remembering the smells of evergreens. We're gonna be,
Yeah.
all this different stuff. She like lists off all these things, and that's what it is for her. Like that feeling of Christmas, right? This is what's gonna make Christmas a Christmas to remember.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how it's interesting, especially as like Paedo Baptists, that for our children, remembering is so important. And I like made a link in my head about how in the Passover, especially, the smells, the foods, what they did in the Passover ritual was so that they would remember.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
And they were told, like, your kids are going to ask, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
and
what's the
you're
meaning of
supposed
this?
to tell them, this is why. This is how this night is different than any other night.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say that Amy Grant is like, the Passover lamb or something. What I'm saying is nostalgia is one hell of a drug. And it's true.
It is.
And it's something that we're commanded to do as parents, raise our children up with this sense of nostalgia. And we can embed nostalgia in our children in a way that is like beneficial.
Right.
It builds unity. It builds like a camaraderie. It builds like a culture in the home that's really beneficial.
Yeah.
Or you can build a type of nostalgia that's really detrimental to what you're trying to actually accomplish.
Yeah. No, I love this topic because now that I'm like super old and 37, it is so there's so much affection that is like that wells up when Facebook or Instagram has a page and it's like 80s kid or 90s kid
Yeah.
this or something, and
Yeah.
something pops up. I remember there was one, this is so silly, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because it seems so silly, and you're like, why do I care to stare at this picture for longer than half a second?
Right.
And it was a picture of a Walmart checkout from the 90s.
With plastic bags.
Well, listen, in Maine, we don't have plastic bags.
And a lot of New England, I think, is that way.
Isn't? But anyway, but there was nothing digital.
Right.
Right? There was no touch screens. There was nothing digital. There was still the little black square
Yeah.
that they had to slide the barcode across. Beep.
Yep.
And I guess they kind of still have that nowadays, but no gun. It
There was
wasn't-
something about it.
Yeah, but you're like, I've been there. I
Yeah.
remember being there as a kid. I
Right.
know what this looks like. I know what this is. And to continue off of your comment about paedobaptism, is in the Psalms, there are many, many Psalms that are reinforcing a covenant memory.
Yeah.
And it's when I read those Psalms that I go, see, we are supposed to be nostalgic. Now, they're supposed to be guided by Scripture and
Sure.
and our relationship with God. And just like how you have continued the Amy Grant album and ditched the Carmen album, right?
One is superior.
We are supposed to grow
Yeah.
from one degree of glory to another. And that means shedding things that are not as beneficial or edifying.
Right.
And I think, but yeah, nostalgia. I mean, I from time to time look up old skateboard videos that I watched in high school for the same thing. You just remember, and then you can think back about all the times God was good to you, all the times God helped you grow out of sinful behavior, or I mean, whatever it is.
Right.
But that's what the psalmist was doing.
Right.
God did this, God did that, God did this, God did that over and over and over again. And then when you take it from that theological level and then you do apply it to the familial level, that's what you're doing with your kids.
Right.
God has been good to us. God gives us these good things. God gives us these great things. And Christmas is a perfect time
Right.
to talk about the extravagant blessings that God gives
I think
us.
that was kind of more where I wanted to go with it too, was like, we can sit and we can lecture our children and we can tell them things, and that is important, and it's commanded of us that we tell our children, that we
Sure.
share.
Yeah.
Stories are super important. Like, I really believe that the stories we tell our kids, the heroes that we read to them, all this stuff is so important. But there's something about engaging with the other senses, right? There's something about, and our pastor says it every Sunday when we go to the Lord's table.
Right.
Like, this is the gospel for our other senses. You've
Yes.
heard the gospel. Now it's time to engage the smell, the feeling of the bread in your hands,
Right.
or like all the other
Smell
things.
the gospel, taste the gospel,
Yeah, exactly.
see the gospel.
Exactly.
Yep.
And there's something about like turning on an Amy Grant album and hearing a certain song every Christmas that's like, it engages my nostalgia on a level. Because I mean, you can read, I don't know, a Charles Dickens novel every Christmas, and maybe that stirs up nostalgia in your heart because that's what your family did every year or whatever. There are those types of things, and I think that's great. But when you smell like your grandma's, gingerbread cookies coming out of the oven, that's a different level. That's something totally
Yeah.
above just like a mind thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so important. And it's important for parents to build that into their traditions, because I think the two things go hand in hand.
Yeah. No, it's perfect, babe, because as Christians, Christianity is not just an abstract truth that we believe
Yeah.
over against other abstract truths.
Yeah.
God became a man.
Flesh.
Yeah, the incarnation is what Christmas is all about.
Right.
So God became something that you could touch, see, smell.
Yeah.
Right? Baby Jesus pooped.
Right.
And like it's all that stuff. And it's because our whole life is created by God and meant to glorify Him.
Right.
And in every bit of our being, not just our minds. That's a plague on modern Christianity. That
is important.
yeah.
It is important that our minds are engaged with truth. Yes, absolutely. And our children should be hearing truth all the time.
Right.
Constantly, right?
And they should be trained to also smell truth,
Yes.
touch it, and see how it's embodied, because
Right.
truth did take on a body.
Right.
And so all of those things should be trained. And what you're saying about certain things that will instill memories and then nostalgia later on are a great way to do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times at Christmas, Christian parents can become sort of Gnostic in how they celebrate. And you see this all the time, especially on like social media, people discussing what's allowed for Christians to do. How are Christians allowed to celebrate, rather than being like, what do What are you talking about? Why would we not use all the other senses? Why is it just our mind that we're allowed to use when it comes to the worship on Christmas? That's just so silly.
Right. They're rejecting all the material
Right.
aspects of Christmas.
Right. Rather than thinking everything is ours. Right? Jesus is king of everything. Like he owns molasses. Let's make some molasses cookies.
That's
Jesus
true.
is king of molasses. What about, like, I don't know,
Proclaim Christ's lordship over your Christmas cookies and over your eggnog and your Christmas sweaters
That's
and
right.
everything.
That's right, because it's all King Jesus's. So why would we say, well, that belongs to him, but also let's not get too crazy about it?
Yeah, and we need to not be relativist about this either, where you can sort of choose how you want to celebrate, but then I'll go do the church thing, Christmas Eve or whatever, or on Sunday around Christmas and stuff.
That's
but then
the yin
all
and
the
yang
other
sort of, right? Like you have the spiritual side and then like the human
little
side.
dualism.
Some dualism. Like you've got, that was very loud.
Yeah. Well, and it's just maybe it's, I don't know if it's just an American thing, but a modern church thing where the only time God really cares about what we do and say is during the hour I'm in the church building.
Yeah,
and
like there's the religious practice and then there's like your non-religious life.
Right. Mm-hmm. But really this whole YouTube channel of ours is talking about how Christianity encompasses our entire life, our thought life, our deeds, our words, everything, every extracurricular, every second of every day is lived before the face of God. And so that includes your holiday celebrations.
Right.
And Christmas can be a time to really turn it to 11.
Right. And I think it means a lot of intentionality. And I came from a family especially that was very much about making traditions. We had traditions for everything, even silly things, like just tons and tons of traditions. And so when we started our family, we were pretty thoughtful, I think, about what traditions we wanted to keep from my family or your family, and then which ones we wanted to start ourselves. And like some things we thought we were going to do kind of petered out after a year or two.
Right.
And then some things that were totally unintentional have just now become intentional. That's just what we do. And all of us look forward to it. All of us, just love it. And that's what we want to do. And so it's kind of stuck. But I think that's what Christians need to do more of is be very intentional with what you do.
Well, and at least to some degree, it's at least, right, at the very least, you are dedicating your time or your schedule, something, to making sure that you are honoring God with it, that you're making sure that you're not wasting it, squandering it, taking it for granted, or any of those things either.
Well, and I'm thinking when the kids and I were baking and singing in the kitchen, all three of the kids were like, I can't wait to have kids and make them have the same kind of love for this song. All three of them said that. And I was thinking,
funny.
okay, so the love that I have for this song is going to be transferred onto my grandchildren. So it'll be 4 generations of people who love the Amy Grant Christmas album.
Yeah.
And isn't that so funny that this is something so small that will, Lord willing, be transferred onto my grandkids. What other things do I want my grandkids to love that I love?
Yeah, it's a good
Because
question to
whatever
think
that
about.
is, I need to be like building that up so that it's like a monument, like stones, right? When my grandkids come to it, they're going to see those and they're going to say, what does this mean?
Right. Why do we do this?
Why do we do this?
Why do we
love
listen
this?
to Amy Grant, Grandma?
Right.
Why do we do this?
Right.
Yeah, and then you get to share all
And there
of that.
are traditions too that are stupid that can die, or there are traditions that are stupid that can just make you laugh. Mm-hmm. And like there can even be some nuance here, right? We're not saying everything has to have super deep meaning.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's a thing like, well, the family always wears green socks on Christmas Eve to church. Why? Just
Right.
because it's funny, because Dad did it one year and all the
Yeah.
boys thought it'd be hilarious to copy him. So now we all do it. And we've always done it because now it's, that's fine.
Right.
Is there a really super spiritual, deep reasoning behind? No.
Doesn't need
nothing besides just I love my dad and we have this really special bond.
And God's filled life with joy. So
Right.
we're going to just,
So that's why we do it.
yeah, you don't
not-
need some deep systematic theology
Right.
about it.
It doesn't have to be about paedo baptism. It can just be because we
Right.
love each other and this is what we do to have fun and God's given
Yeah.
us joy.
Right. I love it. That's really good.
But there are ways that we can build into our families true important things like reading, certain portions of the Bible and making
Or
connections.
reading certain books, reading certain stories,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and this was very unique to where we lived, though. Where I grew up in California, in Lompoc, there's a neighborhood where all of the houses compete over who has the best light display.
Yeah.
And it's very grand. I mean, they all go all out.
Right.
And one of the roads at some point, I grew up knowing the name of it, so I don't know when it got changed, but one of the roads is even named Candy Cane Lane. And every Christmas Eve, everybody from town goes and drives through this neighborhood. It's so backed up traffic-wise, you actually can see everyone's house and see everything that they have up because you're driving half a mile an hour.
Right.
It's not a big neighborhood, but it is just beautiful and gorgeous. And there are tons of people just walking up and down the sidewalks and stuff. And we looked forward to that every year growing
Right.
up. We
Right.
would, all of us brothers and sisters, I mean, we were all really excited to go look at Christmas lights. And my dad taught us to ooh and ah. And if you really liked it, then you really, it was a whole thing. We were all into it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't think we have anywhere around here.
But we did go and look at Christmas lights this year as a family.
That's
Went
true.
to LLB, and
Yeah.
we do usually look at Christmas lights as a family.
Well, and that's why,
Depending
because
on
I'm
where-
like, this needs
yeah,
to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, and we, if I could recommend everyone, if you can, go watch a movie called Saving Christmas, starring Kirk Cameron and Darren Doan. And it's a really fun movie, and they talk all about the theology of Christmas, Christmas trees and Christmas lights, and how it all relates to biblical imagery and the truth of the gospel, the incarnation, and not just the incarnation, but Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. It's all brought into the picture. It's a wonderful movie. And, even that, you get a good theological mind about all this stuff. It makes you enjoy things like Christmas lights more and the tree more and presents more. And
This is how
Yeah.
you prevent burnout too, because the truth of the matter is this is going to require a lot of work on you as parents or grandparents or whatever if you want to.
at least at first, it will.
Maybe, but I think, even now, like the kids were helping me, but it's still a lot of work. It's just as easy to go out and
Yeah.
buy cookies as it is to.
That's true. Yeah.
But that isn't the point. The point isn't the cookie itself, right? The point is to create something in our children, to a love and a fellowship within our children that is going to transcend the cookie itself, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the cookie. The cookie is important, but it's not about the cookie. The cookie's not the end.
No, but when the
Not
cookies
the
are,
telos.
it's not. They do taste real good though.
Yeah.
They do, and that
Yeah.
that makes it all the more enjoyable. That's for sure.
Right.
But you're right. The meaning is deeper.
Cutting down a Christmas tree and dad coming in covered in sap but smelling like a yummy tree. Is that more work than just going and buying one from the lot? Which is not wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong.
Right.
I'm not saying buying cookies or that's wrong.
Or even
whatever.
that you have to have a live tree.
Right, because we don't actually.
don't.
Because I have terrible allergies. But you learned a lot about me now. But the point is, like, whatever it is that your family does,
Yeah.
those smells, those
Yeah.
experiences, all of that is building something. What is it that you're trying to build?
Yeah.
What is it? And then ask yourself, what is the telos of it?
Well, and I will say this about this goes back to the cookie thing. So, if the telos is more so about family connection, the joy that God's given us within a family to celebrate the incarnation of Jesus and all these things. True that the cookie isn't the telos, but imagine, and this is why the sacraments are so important, is imagine if we brought the kids into the kitchen and we said, okay, guys, so every year, we do Christmas cookies, right? And we put on Amy Grant. And they're like, yeah. And they're like, we're going to get to do this. And we say, okay, this year, we're just going to sit and we're just going to think about it for a few hours. No cookies, no music.
No smells.
No smells. Just think about it for a little while.
Right.
What a drag.
Yeah.
But you still thought about it?
Right.
Isn't that? And so there's the means of grace, right? It's the thing that is the vehicle that
gets you where you're
that
going.
gets you where you're going.
Yep.
Those things are extremely important,
Right.
if not absolutely vital to what we're talking about here.
Right. And I think connecting and having conversations with your kids is like, you can say, doesn't this cookie taste good? Doesn't that tree smell good? Aren't those lights beautiful? And you know why we can have these things? Because Christ did become a baby. He became flesh, right? He took on flesh because the world and the material mattered so much that he became it himself,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And he died to redeem something that was physical, not just the spiritual, because we're all being made new. The world and the things, the stuff is also being made new.
Right.
It matters so much.
Yeah. And he wants all of it to be glorified.
Right.
And so that's why he became man,
Right.
to glorify creation.
Yep.
And save it from the curse.
Right. Exactly.
So,
That was just something I thought would be really important for everyone to just sort of wrap our minds going into the last inning here before Christmas. Like, let's knock it out of the park,
if your takeaway right now is I'm going to go cook some cookies and put on some Christmas music and doing Christmas jammies and whatever, then I'd say mission accomplished.
Right.
Because that would be my goal.
And not
'Cause
out
I
of,
want
like-
everyone to stinking love some Christmas celebration.
Right. Not out of like mom guilt either, or dad guilt, or I don't do dads get guilt. I don't know, but like
Probably not for what moms do though.
I have to do more. I have to give them the best childhood ever. But that's not even necessarily what we're saying here. We're not saying give them all the stuff. What we're saying is give them the right stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine. I mean, yeah.
Because you can give them all these things and do it with a grumpy, like bitter, burnt out, nasty attitude, and it's going to not matter at all, and they're all going to grow up hating it.
Yeah. Well, now it's turning into a curse rather than a blessing.
Right. You can do it, and your cookies can burn, and the kids and you can laugh, and then every year you can make it a tradition. Mom burns the first batch.
Yeah.
Every year, that's what
is
we're going to
funny.
do. And it could be something really funny. And it's not even necessarily that it has to be like Instagram worthy, right? If all you can do because you're really
post
incompetent.
the burnt cookies.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, here, this is not Christmas. This is Easter themed. But this is like, what I'm telling you, my family was weird about traditions. We really are. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
Every year, this is Easter, y'all. My mother's sister, her name is Kathy, so my Aunt Kathy. For Easter, we would go to Aunt Kathy's house and we would celebrate. The whole family would meet there.
Yeah.
And I have a fairly decent-sized extended family, so it'd be like, I don't know, probably 40 of us there or something at times. And we would always bring colored eggs because it's Easter.
Right.
And every year we'd get together with my grandmother and my grandfather, and my siblings and family would dye Easter eggs with my grandma and grandpa.
Yep.
And then we would bring those eggs to my Aunt Kathy's house. Well, the very last egg that needed to be dyed every Easter, we would set to the side. All of the eggs get dyed but one. And then we would take an empty mug and we would put a little bit of each egg dye in that mug and we would mix it all together. So it was like 6 different colors mixed together, whatever. And we would put the last egg in and we would dye it. And every year it would be the pukiest colored egg that was made out of the random dye.
Was it like
And we
a
would-
gray green or something?
It was different every year because it depended on the quantities of each color, whatever.
Sure.
But it became a tradition in my family that
That's
every
funny.
Easter we gift Aunt Kathy with this ugly colored egg. We just do it. And even now, my Aunt Kathy doesn't get the eggs that like
Yeah.
our kids make, but the kids do that every year in our house. They make
So
one
funny.
ugly colored egg. And it's just something that stuck because it's silly and goofy. It is not Instagram worthy at all. It probably started as a screw up. I'm not really sure. But it was hilarious. We thought it was so funny to gift my aunt with this pukey colored egg. And she would always go, "You guys, it's so dreadful." Or,
Yeah.
it became a thing. So even if you make a mistake, even if it's like this, you burn the cookies, you have a pukey colored egg, whatever, make it a fun thing. Make it a
can
thing that
still
unites
carry
you.
that-
And
yeah.
and it becomes a joke. It becomes the thing that you all look forward to doing.
Right.
And it's just silly and whatever.
I look forward to making the Packers egg,
Every year.
green and yellow egg.
We're really jumping around holidays now, but
Yeah, no, that's a good example, babe. How it really anything. If your mind is set on the joy of the Lord,
yep.
then that is how burnt cookies go.
Yep.
It will be just something funny,
Right.
and you'll make jokes about hockey pucks, and
Every year
whatever.
the dog gets the
Even
first burnt
or
cookie.
Even the dog kind of snubbed it,
Yeah,
or I don't
yeah,
know, whatever.
right.
But if your heart's in the right spot where you are truly just looking for any way to be grateful and joyful, then anything will be good.
Yeah.
But you know what brings you joy too. Everyone, like you said though, everyone has their little thing.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be Amy Grant for everybody. You're right.
Right.
That may be nails on a chalkboard to someone else. Not in the Van Brimmer home though.
Right.
It brings a lot of joy around these parts.
Well, in Amy Grant's song, she talks about light up the fireplace and Nat King Cole.
Yeah, we listen to him too.
That was my grandmother's favorite, Nat King Cole.
Yeah.
Which is probably what built some of the nostalgia, is that she even mentions more nostalgia in her song.
Yeah, there you go. This whole time I've been trying to think of other traditions I grew up with, but that was the Christmas lights
Yeah.
one. That's all I could
Always,
think
in her song, she says, always sentimental. And I was thinking about like that idea of being sentimental. And it is true that you do become sentimental over certain things, like
Mm-hmm.
what cookie recipe. Like I have a framed recipe of my great grandmother's Stollen. It's a
Really? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
recipe from Germany. And I bring it out every Christmas. It sits in my kitchen, this framed in my grandmother's handwriting. And it's very sentimental for me because that is
Yeah.
my family's recipe and it comes from Germany.
Yeah.
And it's sentimental, but also it's something that's like a heritage that was passed down to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women in their kitchens. And like we talk about this all the time, women being homemakers and blessing their family. And to me, it is sentimental, but it's also so much more than that.
Yeah. God meant for us to be connected.
Yep.
He did. We're made in his image. He's 3 in 1.
And being covenantal and
good.
understanding covenant theology, it really helps you grasp onto those concepts so easily. Or it ought to, if you think about it for long enough.
Yeah. Yep. And all those things, you always are evaluating your life against scripture, right? You can be sentimental about something sinful. Well, that's wrong. But
Well, yeah, and if you if you don't come from a family that has the recipe that comes from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have the family that would think it funny to gift a pukey colored egg,
Yeah.
if you don't have that kind of family, build one.
right.
Right?
It always started somewhere.
Right. So if you have none of those sweet traditions, what we're encouraging you to do is start them now.
There you go. That's good, babe. Yeah. Yeah. Start them now. Or new ones.
Right.
Maybe you have some. Start some new ones.
Yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be good. All right. Awesome. Well, everybody, Merry Christmas
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
and Happy New Year. I don't know. We'll
We
probably
will-
put something out.
Will we?
Maybe.
I don't know.
We'll take a break.
We'll probably take a break. To
We'll
the new
see you in the new year.
Got a lot of work to do in our chicken coop.
That's true. I do. It's like build a whole new one.
All right, guys. May the Lord bless your Christmas celebrations.
Until next time, take hold and reorder creation by first reforming your home. This has been the Reformed Reset.
But on the basis of grace and on the finished work of Jesus Christ, the project is back and forth, and the destiny of a new transformed world is assured.
I just put the sourdough in the oven too, so I've got like 40 minutes.